When they come in and they're new in the business, first thing you have to tell them is, make it a point not to talk to anyone. This is very, very important. You know why? Because they're going to probably do a lousy job. Every time I had a new person in the business before, I would tell them, don't talk to anyone, Arun. Why? Don't you trust me? No, I don't. But it's true. The guy probably won't be able to present the business effectively. If a person is new in this business and doesn't know anything about how to explain it properly, he will just end up turning his prospects off otherwise excellent business. How many have made that mistake before? You have no idea what to present. Yeah, you know, in Gold Quest, because there's these circles, and then after the circle, there's this bicycle. I don't understand the bicycle thing, but if you bicycle properly, they give you 2-4. No, I'm not interested. You're not? Why not? Then they wonder why they can't show people why this business is so good. And what happens when you turn somebody off? It's really hard to ever sit them down again and get them to listen. You see what I'm saying? Once his defenses are up, that's it. And that's the reason why you should tell them, don't talk to anyone. Oh, yeah, but I want to talk to my cousin. Yeah, make sure I'm there with you. But Joe, I don't know anything about the business. Hey, if you don't know anything about the business and you have people on, you better start learning. Many people get turned off simply because the program was not explained properly. How many were turned off at first? When this business, come on, I know there's a few more out there. Because I was. When this business was first presented to me, I was very turned off. How many here? Come on, be honest. You have to be honest, guys. That's it. Because it wasn't explained properly, right? I've heard it so, you know, if this was explained to me before, wow, why wasn't this explained before? Tell your new referrals, don't talk to anyone unless you are there with them, in order that you may explain the business properly. But Joe, you mean I have to go with them? Hey, we did talk about paying the price, right? Well, but Joe, instead of going with them, I'd rather go watch a movie. I'd rather go play golf. I'd rather go to so-and-so party. You mean all these 5 people, I have to help them? Were we talking about counting the cost or not? Because that's the cost I'm talking, time. Joe, I don't have time for that. Well, then I guess you don't have time to be a millionaire. Because that's what it's going to take. Oh, in order you may explain the business properly. Joe, I don't know how to explain the business properly. Then you have no business doing this business. If you don't take the time out to learn how to explain this business properly, you have no right. As far as I'm concerned, I'm sorry. I told you I'd speak the truth. If you don't take the time out to learn how to explain this business properly, you have no right to do this business. If you expect people to take you seriously with this business, you take the business seriously. One of the first skills you're going to need is learn how to present specifically for this purpose. So that when you take somebody into your organization, that you have the necessary skills to fulfill your responsibility of caddying and helping these people out. If you're not willing to help these people out in your organization, you have no reason and no right to bring them in. You have a responsibility to these people. Another thing that you must learn is what we call the home meeting. And we call them the home meetings because they're usually held at home. So we couldn't think of any other heading for this topic. I like the home meetings. One, everybody has a home. Your home should be your office. Not everybody can afford to put up a 500 square meter, how do you call this, office at the Petronas. But everybody has a home with a table and 4 chairs. Right? Everybody has home. When I presented the business to Ferdy, was it In an office? No, I sat down with him in a coffee. My office was the placemat. When we presented the business to Dave and his friends, our office was the Pizza Hut table. In fact, when I started getting involved in this industry, not just with Gold Quest, I've been here for about 10 years. The first thing I did was got a bigger house with a bigger living room. You know why? Because of this, the home meeting. Because as your organization starts to grow, okay, what I would do is have them agree. Okay, as your organization start to grow, have them agree on a time when you shall meet at your home at least once a week, or at least once every 10 days. First thing I do is, and when we go looking at the house, I'd look at the living room. Because this is my office. This is where my organization is going to grow. One good idea, and this I used to do all the time, is to have a potluck party. I'd tell 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, hey, everybody bring food for 2 or 3, right? I'll supply the drinks and the rice and the bread. Everybody, I mean, how much can that cost? Doesn't cost an arm and a leg. Everybody and then they would come to my house with food for 3, doesn't cost that much. We'd eat, have a good time. And as you know, I have a good time when I'm eating. And we'd party, we'd eat, we'd have a good time. And invariably, inevitably, after dinner, right, we sit down in the living room and we start talking. We start talking about the business. Oh, this week I experienced this. Next time I think I'm going to do this because this one didn't work. What about you? And you start exchanging information. Keep the business fun. You don't even have to do this at home. Many, many times you'd go watch movies. I'd tell my girl, hey, let's go watch a movie. We go watch a movie. After the movie, we gather at Dunkin' Donuts. And we'd sit. We'd talk about the business. But you see what I'm trying to say? Have meetings with these people. You'll notice that as different leaders begin to share their different experiences during the past week, everyone learns from each other. In your organization, are you the only one with brains? Because if you are, let's take a look at the quality of the people that you're bringing in. Sit down, share. Oh, what happened to you this week? Hey, that's not... I learned a lot. I'm supposed to be teaching these guys. I learned a lot from them. This whole conference this weekend, so many of you have come up to me, hey Joe, this is great. You know what we should do with these VCDs? We should do this. And you know what we can do? I'm learning from this. Do you think I'm just being religious and saying that I'm getting as much blessing from this conference as you guys? No. I've learned so much just from last night, just talking and interacting with you guys. Ranjit came to me while I was preparing for the second module last night and shared to me about something which I ended up sharing with you guys. I learned from it. So don't think that these home meetings are only for your benefit. They're also for their benefit. I'm sorry. It's also for your benefit. You will learn. And pretty soon, because they're learning, their organizations will start growing. Right? And they will start now inviting people. Now it's good for these new people to start coming in to these little parties. It's beneficial for them because rubbing elbows and interacting with the leaders and the fellow questers, creates an overall feeling of belonging. Hey, this is a team, this is a group. Hey, these guys are sharing their secrets with me, etc., etc. It also helps them gather valuable tips and information on objection handling. Many, many times, oh yeah, there was this guy who was asking all these objections, and I answered him with this. Oh yeah, one good way to answer this objection? It's a learning time. Yes, it's fun. Yes, you have a party, but it's also time to learn. And since these are people that have been doing the business, they are seasoned leaders. So it keeps their faith levels high. Correct? When you attend meetings like this, it gets your faith levels very high. It's It's important to note that you can have these meetings anywhere you can gather as a group. Doesn't have to be in your home. Oh yeah, and later on, okay, the original group that you have will start their own home meetings. And then they will start their own home meetings, etc., etc. Then pretty soon this organization grows. That's why these meetings are so important. Now the reason I like to use the home is everybody has one. You don't want to rent an office, and spend a lot of money refurbishing, because people walk in and saying, wow, yeah, Jason can do this, but I can't do this. So I'm not going to be able to succeed in this business. You see what I'm saying? But when you have a home meeting and you have new people coming in, they're like, hey, I can do this. I can do this business. I can do this in my living room. Now you're going to have this VCD, you just put it on your computer with your group, you go over it one by one. Hey, I can do this. I can print a manual. Which, by the way, also is another, just to sidetrack a little bit, which is another good reason why one-on-one is more effective. Because when you sit here presenting to a large group, many, many times people in the audience are saying, hey, this is a good business, it's really nice, but I don't think I can do what this guy's doing. I don't think I can get up in front of a group of 100 people, right? But if you present the business to somebody one-on-one, in a restaurant, over a cup of coffee, the guy's saying, hey, I can do this. That's another reason why one-on-one is so good. I can do this bit. I can do what he's doing. I can bring my manual along. After these meetings, encourage what we call caddying. Okay, at these meetings. Okay, discuss it. You should caddy people. Caddying is an indispensable method of learning the basics of building the organization. In golf, you have the caddies that help out the golfer, right? Many, many golfers will tell you that many times their success is dependent on the caddy that they have. Because you think the caddy just gives him the clubs? No. They sit down. What are the wind conditions? What's my lie? What club should I use? Well, how will this affect? And the caddy gets involved with all of this. What's the exact yardage from here to the pin? The same thing in this business. You sit down with your leaders and, okay, what do you need from me? What do you need me to support you on this? What's this? What's that? That's caddying. And this is what you have to do with your leaders. I see some of your faces going, Joe, all of this is going to take away from my party time. Well, are you willing to pay the price? There's no such thing as an accidental millionaire. I don't know about other businesses, but in Gold Quest, no way. All the people that have made money in this business have worked long, have worked hard, but they've also reaped the benefits. I told you about the one lady in the Philippines who got pregnant. At least now I can say she doesn't look like this, because before people, when I'd say pregnant, people would look automatically at my stomach. She had been doing the business for about 1.5 years, and she got pregnant, of which is okay because she's married to her husband. Very important also. Remember, I was talking about the steps. Get married first, then you get pregnant. But anyway, so she had been doing very well, earning, weekly. She got pregnant. She spent 2 weeks in her house resting. And then she spent 4 days in the hospital, C-section. And then she spent another 2.5 weeks recovering. And just being with her baby, being with her husband. During this 5-week period, she earned $8,000, the next week $12,000, the next week $13,000, the next week $11,000, the next week $9,000. I don't know the exact chronological order, but the amounts are like that. While staying at home. How many have ever made $70,000 having a baby? That's what I'm saying. You reap the benefits of this. But she has worked hard in building her business. But how many people do you know have worked 15 years, 20 years, but still don't make $70,000 when they take a 5-week vacation? See, the point is, we're all going to work anyway. We're all going to work anyway. Whether you work hard in Gold Quest or A or B or C, we're all going to work. We might as well work on something that's going to give us benefits even when we do decide to take a break for a while. The big earners in this business, if they stop doing Gold Quest for 1 year, do you think their checks would go down? I know another lady who spent 5, 6 months, 8, 9, 10 hours a day building her business. And she was earning well, $5, $6, $4,000 a week. And then for reasons that I don't want to discuss, she got out. She's not doing the business anymore. But up to this day, she's still getting checks. Sometimes 4, sometimes 3, sometimes 5, sometimes 2. But she has completely stopped doing the business. But her organization is still there. That's why I'm saying, pay the price, because it'll pay you back. The caddy system, you have to go through the list. Who do we caddy? Who? You have to make sure that, see, your time is very valuable. If you have 100 people or 200 people in your organization, you can't possibly caddy all of these. You know what I'm saying? So you have to identify, okay, these are the leaders, or these are the potential leaders that I want to work with. Not saying that you're going to neglect everybody else. But by you spending time with these leaders, right, and teaching them and imparting to them, and then now they go into their organization and start helping their organization, isn't that you also caddying them? Through your leaders, you are duplicating yourself and helping out. Don't go out with 200 people and caddy 200 people and only affect a 5% transfer, right? But choose 4, 5, 6 that you decide, I'm going to spend the next 1, 2, 3 months with these people. And make sure they know the business well. What do we need to caddy effectively? The tools. Training material, books. Remember I told you I was fortunate enough to have leaders before who caddied me and trained me. They lent me books, they lent me audio tapes, they lent me videotapes, they lent me training manuals that they put together. You need tools just to caddy with. There's things also you must avoid. We'll go over that list a little bit later. And what must you do as the caddy? Once you have all the tools, how do you affect it? The caddy system is to help your referrals become successful in the business by working with and for them. Very important, the for. Because many people have this idea that, oh, I'm your leader in your organization, you go work for me. The reason that I was successful in this industry, I think, is because when I brought somebody in, I would make it a point to tell them, I will be your employee for the next 2 months. Not your slave. We're going to teach you that in the, what to avoid. I'm not going to be your slave, but I'm going to be your employee. In other words, whatever you need, I'm going to be there and going to be supporting you. So you work with them and you work for them. Because remember, we discussed earlier, when they prosper, who prospers? Caddying entails nurturing. Remember, we were talking about the plant. You know how you don't just plant the seed and then just let it go. No, you spend time cultivating the soil. You nurture. That person that you decide to caddy, you nurture them. You sit down with them, spend time training. And training isn't just sitting down with somebody, you sit down, I'm going to train you because I'm the all great, grand poobah of this business and you're going to... No, training doesn't know. Many times, like before, when Ferdy and I were going to Dave Trinidad, okay, I'll pick you up in your house. We spent about 45 minutes in the car before we got to that place and we talked about the business. That's training. Training is not getting up in a three-piece suit and sitting in front of 200 people. That's not training. Yes, it is one form, but training is impartation. Any time that you can sit down with somebody and impart knowledge to them, that's training. So don't neglect the time that you have with your leaders going to and from meetings. That a lot of training happens there. Just you fellowshipping with each other, sitting down, having donuts, talking about your experience. Isn't that training? I've learned a lot from these sessions. And we thought we were just having a cup of coffee. Nurture your people. Don't just expect them to go out and make money for you. No. You sit down with them. In fact, when you have a new person in the business, remember what we call the 48-hour rule. Okay, make this ironclad in your organization. When you have a new customer, do not let 48 hours pass without calling and meeting with him or her and offering your support. 48-hour rule. Not calling and saying, Haroon, what is this? Up to now, you don't have any on your left, you don't have any on your right. I thought you were a good guy. I think you're spending too much time in front of that computer. No wonder your business not going. You were supposed to make a lot of money for me. That's traditional. When you're a boss and he's your employee, when you're paying his salary, you have the right to call him and say, Haroon, you're not taking care of your business, blah, 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 blah. You see what I'm saying? You are not the employer. Remember that. Yeah, but he's under me in my organization. Shouldn't I tell him what to do? If you know what you're talking about, yes. Calling to support means, Haroon, you came in either direct or indirect. Can we meet up? Do you need anything? Do you need me to help talk to some people for you? You see what I'm saying? Support. This is my number. This is my hand phone number. This is my home phone number. If you ever have any problems, give me a call. If you're sitting in front of your cousin or your friend and they have an objection that you can't answer, just give me a call and I'll talk to them. Remember, that's what we were talking about last night? But Joe, you mean I have to give my number out? You mean all these people are going to be calling me? Hey, are you going to count the cost or not? Are you willing to, do you want to be called 10 hours a day? I do. You know why? Because that means my organization is vibrant. They're hungry for knowledge. They're hungry for input. If nobody's calling you, in Manila, I would have a beeper and a hand phone. I'm telling you, when that hand phone or that beeper doesn't beep I get worried. I get worried. What's wrong? What's wrong? How come nobody's calling me? How come nobody's asking me for meetings? Takes time to do that. You have to be willing to pay that price. Ask if they need help to present. Many times these people are excited about the business but have no idea what to say. And how many of you ever experienced this? Somebody comes in, gives you his draft or pays by credit card, is really excited, comes back 4 or 5 days later saying, "Oh, have you sent the draft? Can I withdraw?" How many times has that ever happened? I guarantee you, what happened to this guy, he was so excited, he saw the business, he sent in his draft or paid by credit card, goes to 4 or 5 of his friends or relatives, they have absolutely no idea how to present the business, they do a lousy job, botch up the whole operation, and their friends tell, "Oh, this is this, that, oh, you'll never make it." Then he gets into arguments with them, right? Comes back and says, "I did the wrong thing. You mind if I get back my draft?" I guarantee you that's what happened. And that's the reason why you don't want them talking to anyone without you being there. Ask them, demand. You insist that you be with him. If you can't be with him, make sure one of the other leaders are. Ask if they need some help on answering any objections. You can call, yeah, Harun, you know, there's this guy, I had a hard time with him. Why? What happened? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, the next time this comes up, this is how you answer this. The next time that this comes up, this is how you answer this. You see what I'm saying? Don't just hang up the phone. Oh, man, you must have done a lousy job. You better go train. Hey, who's supposed to train them? Whose responsibility is it? Encouragement. That's so important. People new in this business have to know that they're doing the right thing. Yes, they have to know when they're doing the wrong thing. If he's doing the wrong kind of presentation, if he's presenting the business wrong, yes, it's your job to sit down, you know, and talk to him and tell him what he's doing wrong. But it's also your job and your responsibility to make sure that his faith level keeps high. Encourage him. Isn't it nice to receive encouragement? Isn't it nice? You have no idea how it makes me feel, how it makes Patrick feel. When you guys come up to us and say, hey Joe, you know, great job, you know, we're enjoying this. It means a lot. It's the same for the guy just starting out in the business. If it feels good when people encourage you, it's going to feel the exact same way. You should build a culture where everybody edifies and encourages each other. Start that culture. Support. That's where the time comes in. Being with them, going with them to the different appointments. Maybe even canceling some of your own. I've canceled movies with my wife, with my children. I've canceled parties. I've canceled out golf games. Simply because I was committed to somebody else. These are not theories that I'm talking to you about. Patrick, where's Patrick? Patman. Ed, have you guys ever canceled anything to support someone? That's why they're successful. That's why the checks are so big. Support. Joe, you know, there's this big group, you know, they're coming in, you know, and I'm really excited. They want to talk about the business. Can you come here Friday night, 7 o'clock? Oh man, I can't. I just bought my tickets to the Gladiator and, you know, I can't. How many have ever done that? Now, there's nothing in the policy and procedures book that forces you to be there. It's a moral obligation. Go to them, support them. When I first got involved with this business, I told my wife and my children, I sat down with them, and I said, for the next 6 to 9 months, I'm going to be really scarce around this house. Not because I don't love you guys, but because if I do this business right, we're never going to have to worry about finances again. And then I can sit down and watch grass grow with you the whole day. Because that's my goal. People ask me why I work so hard. Because I'm so lazy. I want to get to the point where I don't really have to do anything. Because there are many, many, many important things in life that have nothing to do with making money. Watching your children grow. Nothing gives me more pleasure and fulfillment than being with my children. You'll meet them all, by the way. They're all going to be here tonight. Spending time with your wife. Priceless. Going out and doing mission work. Priceless. Taking vacations with your family. Now that has a price. That's not priceless. But that's why we work hard, so that someday we don't have to work. But in the beginning, you have to work hard. And the hard part comes in the teaching, the supporting, the encouragement, the nurturing of your network. But I'm telling you, it pays. It pays dividends that you can't put on a check. Do you think I can put a price on the relationship I have with Ranjit and Tony and Ronnie and Patman and Patrick and Ed? I can't put a price on that. Build a team. Teaching, impart. see, another nice thing about this business, and this is the reason why many companies are gravitating towards this industry, because it's such an efficient way to work. See, in the corporate world, if I were the president, and let's say Kuna were the vice president, would I tell Kuna all my secrets? Why not? They take me away. And they promote Kuna, right? Hire him for half of what they're paying me. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, I may have taught you everything you know, but I haven't taught you everything I know. You see what I'm saying? But in this business, everything you know, if you can write everything down, everything you know, you want to pass down to your leaders. Why? Because their success is your success. Here there are no promotions, there are no hirings, there are nothing. It's your leadership base. Teach, impart. The more you know, the more you can teach. Now, before you start to teach, however, you have to do one exercise. Make sure that your leaders have a vision. Have you ever tried to teach somebody who doesn't want to learn? Have you ever tried to teach a dog how to sit when he doesn't want to learn how? Because there are some dogs that are more, how do you call this, receptive than others. But let's stop using dogs as an example. Okay? But you know what I'm trying to say. Have you ever tried to teach tennis to somebody who has no vision to become a tennis player? If they have no vision for this business, they'll have no direction. They won't know what they're doing. They will not be motivated. You're going to have to call them up every day. Come on, man, come on. They will not be willing to overcome obstacles. They will have no work ethic. How many guys have a vision for this business? Do you guys need anybody to motivate you? Aren't you going out trying to get as much learning as you can? Before you teach, make sure you sit down with them and impart a vision in their hearts for what they can achieve in this business, or else nothing happens. It's like banging your head against the wall. If they have none of the above, they're going to be lazy. They're just going to be lazy. For me, there's no such thing as a lazy person. Only a person with no vision. Okay, we were talking about, have you ever wondered why there's some people in your organization that don't move? Okay, there's some people, they come in, they're really excited, and then after 2, 3, 4 days, you know, that it's gone. Okay, now the reason for this is because they have no vision for the business. Okay, there's no such thing as a person who's lazy, as far as I'm concerned. It's just a person with no vision. I can give a personal testimony to that, because, you know, I always thought I was a lazy person. Okay, but it turns out that what society, or my schools, some of my relatives, and to a certain extent what my parents had expected of me, was not where I wanted to go in life. Okay, later on in my life, I found out that, hey, I have a vision for this. It's just that the visions that were set for me were not my own visions. Okay, and finally, I broke free from that mold that, hey, I wasn't lazy, I just didn't have a vision. For 26 years of my life, I just kind of went, you know, floating wherever the wind blew. But when I finally sat down and decided, okay, that this is where I want to excel, this is what I want to do, then, like I explained last night, my life started moving in a predominantly forward direction. Okay, so if a person who's involved with this business doesn't have a vision, will eventually just peter out. Okay, they have no direction, they have no work ethic for the business. They're not going to move unless you're there motivating them. Okay, because for the life of me, I can't figure out why somebody can't see this business and work with it. Okay, because if you do this business properly, man, the financial benefits are unbelievable. Okay, before you start the teaching process, the reason we're talking about this is, remember, we're supposed to teach the people as you caddy them. Okay, it's really, really difficult to try and teach somebody who doesn't want to learn. Okay, it's also like banging your head against the wall. So before you start the teaching process, sit down with your potential leaders and make sure, remember, we discussed earlier that you have to sit down and identify who you're going to caddy, who you're going to take care of. Okay, sit down with them, whether individually, or as a group. Sit down with them and make sure you've gone through the process you have gone through that gave you your vision. Okay, sit down with them. Make sure that they have identified their compelling reasons and their burning desires for doing this business. Okay, because remember, you want people that are like you. Go-getters, prime movers, people who will do everything they can to make sure that this business will work. Okay, and the way to do that is impart a vision in their heart. Not your vision, but their vision. Okay? Now the reason I went through my compelling reasons and burning desires last night was basically to show, because you heard everything that I said. How many have basically the same compelling reasons? Right? How many have the same visions? In other words, what I'm trying to say is we're all the same. Whether you're Malaysian, Canadian, Russian, American, Filipino, we're all the same. We all want to, work so that our family benefits. We're all gonna cry at our daughter's weddings. You know what I'm saying? We're all the same. We have the same visions. We have the same wants. We have the same desires for our family. Just by you sitting down and discussing your vision with somebody else will help revive and bring to the surface his own visions. As I was discussing my compelling reasons and burning desires with you guys last night, were you not, hey, me also, didn't it help you, make your own at least mental list of what your visions are? Many, many times this impartation of vision comes from just the fact that when you go make a presentation to someone and you're driving and you're saying, hey, in this business, if I work this hard for 2 years, in 2 years I can be financially free. Just by you describing your vision gets him thinking about his own vision. You see what I'm saying? You can use your vision to inspire them to derive their vision. So sit down with them. Make sure that they have also written down their compelling reasons and burning desires. If you take the time to do this, then you don't have to motivate them. If you take the time to sit down and make sure they have their own vision for the business, you don't have to keep motivating them anymore. That's why when I first started this business, my phone was ringing off the hook. Because we used to spend so much time. Patrick, how many nights did we spend going into early morning, 2, 3, 4 o'clock with TG, with Rico, with Donna, sitting down discussing what we wanted to do with this business, and sitting down and doing that with their leaders. That's why the next day and the weeks, the phone would be ringing off the hook because I don't have to motivate them anymore. They're all internally motivated. Think about the people in your organization who are deadbeats, aren't doing anything. And I guarantee you that these guys have no vision for the business. They probably came in because they were either deceived or lured to come in, which we will take up tomorrow, or they were promised that they won't have to do anything and you or your leader will build a large organization for them. In other words, they have no vision for the business. They're not willing to pay the price. Take the time. Nurture them into that vision. Encourage them into that vision. When they have a vision, they'll want to learn on their own, even without you there. You all know Eric Clapton, right? Especially these two guys over here. They were doing an Eric Clapton medley last night. But this guy, he's one of the greatest guitarists, greatest rock guitarists, of the modern times. But he doesn't know how to read notes. He doesn't know how to read a single note. But man, he can play like nobody else. He can play like Eric Clapton. The reason he doesn't know how to read notes, it just tells me that he did not have any classical training. For whatever reason, whether his parents didn't support him or his parents wanted to but could not afford it, or they didn't have a teacher in their neighborhood, for whatever reason, it's obvious to me that Eric Clapton did not have a classical teacher to teach him the classical methods. Because the first thing they teach you is how to read notes. That's the first thing they teach you. So just the fact that he doesn't read notes tells me that he didn't have this classical training. But still, deep inside, the guy wanted to be a guitarist. Maybe he didn't want to be the greatest guitarist ever, of which he is one of them now. Remember, I told you your visions change, your goals change. But he had a burning desire to play guitar good. So it also tells me that even though he didn't have education at his fingertips, he made sure that he learned how to do it himself. You see what I'm trying to say? Because he had a goal, he had a vision. I know somebody who's a great drummer, and when he started drumming on pots and pans. He would study drummers on TV, from music, from the stereo. And he had pots and pans. He didn't have a drum set. But he made sure he learned how to do it. Don't you want those kind of people in your organization? People who will call you at 11 o'clock at night, Jason, I can't sleep. Because you know why? I gave a presentation, it didn't work. I want to know how. Can you teach me how to make it better? Would you be bothered by a phone call like that? If you want people like that, give them a vision for the business. Then you don't have to motivate them anymore. They'll motivate themselves. And since they're internally motivated, it's very easy to teach them. They're very open. It's really hard. It's a hard thing to do, to try and teach someone who doesn't want to learn. It's frustrating. But on the other hand, it's so fulfilling to teach somebody who's like an open book. You tell me what I have to do and I'll do it. Then finally, after the teaching process, make sure they have the vision. It's very important. You have to inspire them. Not just with nice words, not just with, sayings from books and stuff like that, although it helps. Encourage them with you. You should be an inspiration to them. Your example, your commitment to them, your support for them should be an example. That should inspire them. Number one, inspire them to achieve heights in this business that they never thought possible. And it should also inspire them to be an inspiration to others. That's all part of the caddying process. These are the kind of people you want, fully supported, with vision. Now, there are some things you must avoid, when you caddy someone. It doesn't mean that just because you want to support someone and make sure that he grows in the business, you give away the farm to this guy. Making yourself available at all times. Now, this may sound like a contrary statement to what we're saying earlier about spending time with them, but let them know, that time is valuable. Don't call me at 1:30 in the morning and I'll be there in 5 minutes. You don't want to be his slave. You want to be his employee. Let him know that, one, my time is valuable. Let's schedule our things. Let's schedule our meetings. Don't call me at 1 o'clock in the morning and expect me to run and make a presentation for a friend of yours. In fact, this is a mistake that many, many people make. Come on, Leslie, you just come in. You don't have to do anything. You just give me the names of all your prospects and I'll call them for you. Have you ever done that? In your exuberance and your enthusiasm to do this business, have you tried calling people? Don't do that. It doesn't work. I will tell somebody that I'm caddying, Harun, I will present to as many people as you want me to on one condition, that you are there with me. Now the reason for that, so remember, you want to teach, you want to impart. The first reason for that is the best way to train the person that you're caddying than letting him see it over and over again. Right? That's number one. So he can learn the presentation process. Number two, as his friend asks objections and you start answering them, he also starts to learn how to answer objections. And sometimes objections that he may have had but was too ashamed or too embarrassed to say, right? when you answer them, it also gets answered in his mind, so it encourages him more. But finally, the third and most important reason why Harun has to be there when I talk to his friend is his friend doesn't trust me. If Harun gave me, excuse me, I don't know your name. Raminda. Okay, call up Raminda and tell her, you know, you want to show her a business. And I call up Raminda, and Raminda, Harun told me to call you up. What are you going to think? Are you going to go, wow, I want to meet with you tomorrow? Or are you going to be, why? Why are you calling? Or who are you? Yeah. And why are you calling? In other words, suspicious. You see what I'm saying? It's not an open thing. And finally, if you do break through that wall somehow and are able to sit down with Raminda, maybe Harun will call, Raminda, meet with Joe. I can't be there, but meet with Joe. And I sit down, you're not going to trust me. Right? Who's this guy? Right? You're not going to trust me. Now, I'm not saying that you're never going to be able to present to somebody who you don't know. But the probabilities of this person responding to this business gets lower and lower. But, if Harun calls up Raminda, Raminda, I'm going to set up a meeting. I want you to see this business. Okay, an associate of mine is coming with me because I don't know how to present it so well yet because I just started in it. I mean, tell the truth. So let's meet Tuesday lunch. Is that okay with you? What's it about? Never mind. We'll tell you during the meeting. So finally, you sit down with Raminda. Raminda trusts Harun. You do, don't you? Now, obviously, Harun trusts me because if not, he would have never brought me in front of Raminda. So because of our association, Raminda will also trust me, at least for the time that Harun is there with me. But you see what I'm trying to say? That's why it's important that he is there with you. Okay? Because right away it breaks down barriers, it breaks down walls. But that's what I'm trying to say. Making yourself available at all times, avoid it. Yes, I'm available, but you have to be there with me. You want to be their employee, support, not their slave. Okay, in other words, yes, I'll make myself available, but there's a price to pay. You have to be with me. Yes, I'll make myself available to train your group, Harun, but you have to be there with me, and it can only be on Thursday afternoon because I have another group that I'm meeting with. Because believe me, if you how do you call this? If you just make yourself available at all times, then they get spoiled. They'll take that time for granted. Your time is valuable. It's the number one capital that you have in this business. Guard it. Make sure that you don't waste it. Doing your presentations without referral in training. In other words, your referrer who you're training. Okay, don't do that unless he's there for the reasons that we've already gone over. CADIA, a direct or indirect TCO who has not completed the basic training course. Now, before this VCD, it's very hard because you have to get to the basic training course. But now, when all of these things are going to be on video or VCD, you can sit down with Raminda and say, yes, fine, Raminda, I'm going to CAD you, but before we start, I want you to watch all of these VCDs. That way we're talking the same language. Yeah. Can you help me? Can you make sure my organization grows? Yeah, but we have a basic training meeting in my house. No, I can't. I'm going swimming. Well, look, if you're not willing to spend time getting basic training in this course, then I don't have time to CAD you. Remember, you have to choose the people that you're going to work with. You have to choose these people. Your time is an asset. Your time is valuable. Essentials in CADing, a 3-point guideline to create maximum effect in your organization. Identify the time and date you will allot for each of your potential leaders. Okay? There has to be specific time, specific place. And you have to have a specific reason why these times are set. I know somebody who would meet in Manila. We were having big bombs, rooms. Sometimes we'd have 1,000, 1,200 people. And one of the leaders there would meet with his leaders after that meeting. Because this is when everybody's excited. Wow, they just brought in, 5 people. The 5 people came in. They're really excited. They're receptive to training. You know what I'm saying? Don't meet with somebody, for example, right before they're off vacation. Let's say they're leaving for outstation at 5 o'clock. Don't meet with them at 4. Because they're not thinking about this meeting with you. They're thinking about their vacation. Okay, so make sure that you choose the times carefully. Identify potential leaders who you will caddy. Ideally, it should be between 2 to 5 people. But Joe, you said to train leaders. Yes, but you can't train 50 leaders at the same time. Why do you think all GMs, all CEOs, all managing directors, all generals, how many people do they have directly under their responsibility? No, directly. 4, 5 people. Because you can only effectively manage or train or caddy about 2 to 5 people. As your skill level goes up, maybe that'll go up to 6 or 7. But your time management skills have to be really, really good. Okay? I would rather, and you would rather, train 2, 3, 4, or 5 people effectively. Never mind if you're not able to do it to 20. But it's better to do it 100% with 4 or 5 people than so-so with 30. Then you're going to have 30 half-baked leaders. I would rather have 2, 3, 4 that are 100% questers. Mind, soul, and body. Whoa. Hey, this business gets pretty heavy. I mean, you really get into it. You know what I'm saying? There comes a time where it's a way of life already. Because like I said, impartation is such that the benefits are not only financial. Set a planning session with the people that you're going to caddy. Explain and reinforce the purpose of caddying. They have to know why they're going through this process. Okay, if you notice, I take great pains in the seminars and the trainings to explain why we're doing this. Because if a person understands why he's doing something, why he's undergoing something, then they accept it much, much better. It's the same thing with discipline. I discipline my children. But we explain to them why. You don't just, let's say, and sometimes this disciplining involves punishment. Now, many times a child who's being punished who doesn't understand the reason why he's getting punished, ends up resenting it. You know what I'm saying? If it's done enough times, he ends up to be a rebellious child. But if you sit down and explain to your children why this disciplining process, why this punishment. I have sat my children I have 5. I've sat each one of them down so many times. Mommy and I, we discipline you and we punish you because we love you and we want you to grow up following these guidelines. We have a certain set of guidelines that, okay, this is the way how to be a proper human being on this earth. And the reason that we're punishing you is because we want to make sure, because we love it. You know, it's easier, we explain to them, it's easier for us to just keep saying yes. Right? Isn't it easier to tell a child, yeah, okay, go ahead, do it. But then when they get to be 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, and they're so used to just doing things the way they want, and we explain to them, we punish you, we discipline you because we love you. The day that we stop punishing you, then you should be worried. There came a time where Ina, you'll meet her later, she's here, my daughter. When she was about 6, okay, there was one, and you have to be consistent. With children, you have to be consistent with your discipline. And like you can't just punish when you're in a bad mood. You know what I'm saying? Because then they'll think it has to do with anger. No, it has to do with because we're punishing you because we love you. We're disciplining you because we love you. And there was one particular time when I was very busy and I wasn't able to punish. My daughter came up to me and she was crying. She was 6 years old. She goes, "Daddy, don't you love me anymore?" And I go, "Of course I do. Why?" "Because I disobeyed and you didn't spank me. You didn't punish me." No, really, I mean, it blessed my heart. Because ever since she was a little girl, I've always told her, "I'm punishing you because I love you and I want you to avoid these things." And she, "Daddy, don't you love me anymore?" All I'm trying to say here, okay, is make sure you explain why. Explain and reinforce why you're going to caddy. Because if children, okay, can get to the point where they love discipline and punishment simply because they know it's good for them, then what more the other stuff that's a little bit more pleasant than punishment and discipline? You know what I'm saying? Explain to them, the reason I'm caddying is because I want you to be this kind of leader. I want you to be this. Because sometimes that caddying will how do you call this, involve some disciplining. There are some people who go about this business the wrong way. Right? Like there's some people who make presentations that are lousy. Sometimes they're in a bad mood. Yeah. It's up to you as a leader to pull this guy aside. Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. If you expect to be the leader of a global organization, you have to, you have to change your presentation. Yeah, but I present well. I was just in a bad mood. Well, if you're in a bad mood, don't present the business. Delegate it to somebody else. I mean, caddying involves disciplining. And if you don't sit down and explain to them why you're doing this, you're never going to be able to speak into them. Because impartation is not always, hey, you can do it, I believe in you, oh, this is great. No, impartation, caddying is also, Haron, I really think that you should change the way you're presenting, especially this part. If you've never explained to him why you're doing this, he's just going to walk away. But if it's explained to him that you want him to be a leader of a global organization, then you can sit down. Haron, remember, I told you that if you're going to be this kind of leader that we both agree you can be, that you have to go through this process. You have to earn that right. That's the reason why you have to sit down and explain. Some of you are looking really worried. Wow, Joe, that's a lot of time. Yes, it's a lot of time. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. And if you want people outside to believe that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme, if you want governments of the world to not think that this is a get-rich-quick scheme, well, let's act like it. Let's show the world what this business is really about. Because I happen to believe that this is one of the best systems there is on the planet, and if we do it right, people are going to take notice. People are going to take notice, companies are going to take notice, governments are going to take notice. If we do it right. I don't know about you guys, I'm in this business for the long run. So yes, take the time, do what's good for our business. Agree on a fixed weekly schedule. Allocate the time. I am setting aside Wednesday afternoon, 3 to 6 o'clock to be with your group. Make sure that they're there, make sure that you're there. Set the time. Agree on a short-term goal. Example, the coin and the first $400 check. Isn't that such a big milestone? Isn't that a big milestone? I don't know about you guys, man, when I got my first coin, I was excited. When I got my first check, I was excited. So was my wife. Remember, it became our coin and our business. So you want them to reach that milestone for 2 reasons. Okay, number 1, when they earn their coin and their first check, wow, this is real. This business is real. Before it was all theory. Okay? But then when you receive your coin and your check, it's like, whoa. Especially when you cash your check and it doesn't bounce. No, doesn't that really enforce? You see what I'm saying? So number 1 reason is to reinforce. Okay, not that they doubt. Okay, by the way, we've never had a check that bounce, so. That's the first reason. So they get excited, so they get motivated. Okay. Number 2, okay, this is a testimony business. Can you imagine somebody coming, Haron, man, I got to tell you, this is a great business. This is fantastic. And you also, sir, I want to tell you about this. Can I see your coin? Actually, I haven't earned it yet. Can I see your first check? No, I haven't earned the check yet. How long have you been in this business? Well, only about 2 years. Do you think this guy is going to have any credibility? But if I come up to her and say, Harun, this is a great business, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, that sounds great in principle. But have you ever gotten your coin? Oh yeah. I earned it after my 3rd week. Oh yeah. What about the check? Yeah, on my 6th week, I got a $400 check. In other words, he's got something to say. He's got something to testify about. Who has a bigger testimony? The guy who's earning $400 a week or the guy that's earning $20,000 a week? That's why, set the goal. Okay, Harun, by when? I'm going to do everything I can to help you. But by when? Okay, it should be by the X week, we earn your coin. By the Y week, we earn your check. And then you sit down and make sure that you do everything you can that goal is fulfilled. Again, for his benefit and for his testimony. When he gets his coin, when he gets his check, all the people that were doubting him, all the people that were doubting the company, all of a sudden they're like, hey, wait a minute. This is a company that delivers. This is a system that works. So all the no's, little by little, start turning into yeses. All of that happens by your leader earning his first check and his first coin. And oh yeah, hey, by the way, does that benefit you any? Yes. Because that's also volume on your left or on your right side. Get them to commit to the plan and to the goal. You shouldn't be the only one committed to making sure that he earns. He also has to have the same commitment. If you've sat down with that person and they've established their goals, their vision, you've established with them that, I'm going to meet with you. In other words, if they know what they're doing, it should be very, very easy to get them to commit to the plan and to the goal. It shouldn't be too much hard work. To commit simply means to act upon. In other words, when this guy commits, he has to act upon that commitment, act upon that goal. He has to appropriate time, appropriate effort for it. He has to entrust himself to the system, to your system, to the system that GoldQuest has put up, that it's something that's going to be delivering. That's why I'm willing to commit. And he has to confine his efforts. What I'm talking, focus. Let's focus on this goal. That's what the word commitment means. Don't take it lightly. Now let me end by allow me to challenge your imagination a little bit. Okay? Can you imagine having an organization? Okay, imagine your organization like this. Okay, and it's composed of these individuals. You have on your left, number 1, Dave Trinidad. You have on your right, number 2, Ranjit Singh. Would you be a happy camper? Yeah. Do you think you would have qualified for your coin? Yeah. But that's not it. That's not it. Can you imagine number 3, you have Patrick Zuniga. And then on your number 4, you have Patman. I couldn't pronounce his last name, so I just put down his... Number 5, you have Ronnie Wong. Number 6, you have Muhammad Isa. Now, do you think that this tracking center would be one that would be collecting a weekly check? Huh? Is this something that you would like to do? Now let me ask you guys, what would you be willing to give for an organization like this? How long would you be willing to work to have an organization that looks like this? What price would you be willing to pay to have an organization that looks like this? And surely you wouldn't mind having these individuals in your... See, because these leaders are going to produce other leaders. Can you imagine further down in your organization, you have Tony Kong. Then you have Anan. You have Donna Imson. Then you have Ferdy Tolentino, T.G. Quintanar, Rico Oy. All these guys are the VT members. These guys are committed to this business. These guys are 100% living, breathing, dreaming, eating GoldQuest. Wouldn't you like to have an organization that looked like that and had people under them that represented this kind of talent, skill, commitment? How long would you be willing to wait? Would you be willing to work free for 9 months to train an organization that looked like this? Yes. Are you sure? How many? How many here? Because I'm going to send a letter to the accounting department not to send you your weekly checks for 9 months. No, the point I'm trying to make here, okay, is, see, it takes time to build these leaders. Do you think Dave Trinidad was always who he is today? And Ranjit, and Ronnie, and Patman, and Patrick, Tony Kong. I mean, these guys were just like you and me before. But because they had leaders who sat down with them, trained them. You see what I'm saying? That's you guys. Where's Patman? Is he in the room? Man, remember the early days? We went to every coffee shop, every San Francisco coffee, sitting there talking about this business, the right things to do, the wrong things to do. Patrick, how many times were we there? We'd fall asleep on my couch at 3, 4 in the morning, wake up at 7. My wife would go, "You guys are still here?" I'm so sick of his face. No, I was just kidding. I love Patrick. I'm glad he's here. We're playing golf tomorrow. I'm going to beat you again, boy. No, what I'm trying to say is it takes time. It takes time to build this. Be patient. Be patient. If you build your leaders properly, if you train them properly, if you caddy them properly, it will pay. It'll cost, definitely, there's a price. But it will pay. I guarantee you, it will pay. So be patient, sit down, draw up your list, make sure you know who you're going to train, commit your time to them, give them a vision, make sure they know what to expect from this business, provided they do this. And believe me, that kind of organization is something not only to be proud of, but something that's going to be very profitable for you and your family for the next 4, 5, 6, 10, 15, 20 years. Because I've had people come up to me, "Joe, how long will Gold Quest be here?" Have you ever had that question asked? And I just, well, as long as people are buying coins from us, we're going to be here. It's that simple. I mean, how long does a restaurant stay open? As long as there's people buying food from that restaurant. How long will Coke be open? As long as people are buying Coke. I mean, Gold Quest is no different. It's the same. As long as people are buying coins, as long as you allow us to be here, we're here. So when you set up an organization that looks like this, believe me, as long as Gold Quest is on this planet, you're going to be making a very, very good income that will last for you and your family for many, many years to come. But it takes time. Don't shirk the responsibility. Don't be afraid of the hard work that goes into building an organization like this, because it pays. You've heard me say time and time again the last 2 days, but the bottom line, it pays. It pays to have this organization. Okay? So this ends our module for today. Thank you very much. We'll continue the how to make an effective presentation. So thank you very much. Let's build.